But now let's talk about me versus Donald Trump, because that's what we're talking about in a primary. So the first thing I'll tell you is, I voted for Donald Trump twice. I was proud to serve America in his administration. The problem is, chaos literally follows him. And we can't be a country in disarray and a world on fire and go through 4 more years of chaos. We won't survive it. But you also have to say, all of those solutions I gave you, we can't make a change in our country if you don't have a candidate who can win the general election. And you look at what's happened in all the early states. They'll talk about Donald Trump winning, and he did. I give him that. But what about the fact that in all the early states, he did not get 40% of the vote? Now, Donald Trump will say, oh, those are all Democrats that voted in South Carolina. No, less than 5% were Democrats or unaffiliated. Those are Republicans. Same thing in New Hampshire. Look at Iowa. 40% of the vote is not with him. You can't win a general election if you don't get the 40%. And then is he doing anything to help himself? No, he said anyone who supported me was barred permanently from MAGA. Now think about that. If you're running for president, your job is to bring as many people to you as possible, not push people out. But that's what he's doing. He's pushing people away from the Republican Party. And that's not how you win. That's the direction we want to see America go into. But the problem is, this is not just about Donald Trump, the candidate. This is about what Donald Trump is doing to the Republican Party. You look at the Republican Party, and no president has put a country more in debt during his time than Donald Trump. He's not talking about wasteful spending at all. All of that, the COVID stimulus bill and the lack of accountability, all was on his watch. And so that's a total shift for Republicans to think that that kind of spending is okay. He's also making a shift on the national security perspective. We have always believed in peace through strength, always. And you're not going to get peace if you're like Joe Biden putting your head in the sand, or if you're like Donald Trump, where he's saying, don't pay attention to the rest of the world, just live in our own little bubble. Because that's not how it works. Putin has made it very clear that once he takes Ukraine, Poland and the Baltics are next. Those are NATO countries that immediately puts America at war. This is about preventing war. It's always been about preventing war. So he shifted the Republican Party on fiscal responsibility. He shifted the Republican Party on national security. And then what's he actually doing to the Republican Party? Division. He put $60 million of his own campaign contributions towards his personal court cases. And now the Republican Party, he is replacing the head of the Republican Party with his daughter-in-law. And he is replacing the director of operations with his campaign with his campaign manager. And they have now announced to all of us that the RNC's sole focus is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is turning the Republican Party into his own playpen, where it's all about him. And the RNC is being turned into the fact this is a slush fund for his legal fees. If he spent just $8 million in January, by the end of this, it will be over $100 million in legal fees, while Joe Biden is stockpiling his money. Donald Trump's not watching out for the Republican Party. He's not watching out for America. He's watching out for himself.